Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the resolution
Speaker,
before us.
I rise in strong support of the resolution authorizing the President
Mr.
to use
Speaker, I
military
rise
force.
in strong support of this resolution.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of this
I rise
resolution.
in strong support of this use of force resolution. Unfortunately,
The gentlewoman from California is recognized for a minute and a half.
Now, I have agonized over this vote, but I came to grips with it today. As a member of the clergy so eloquently said, as we act, let us not become the evil that we deplore.
Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act.
We had to take some kind of action, but what that was would take a while to figure out. I mean, you don't just say we're going to go to war in 3 days. To me, when I look back at that, how could anybody 3 days after this terrible attack come up with a policy in response to what took place? That is just, to me, the more I even think about it, the more insane that was.
An authorization is essentially an act of Congress. It's usually done as a joint resolution, but it's passed by the House and the Senate. It specifies a certain action that the president may take, usually involving the use of military personnel in some specified form of engagement.
This is the legal foundation for everything that the U.S. has done, everything from Guantanamo Bay to drone strikes to secret renditions to SEAL raids. It's all been hung off these 60 words.
Oops, let me start again. That should be, I said organized. Can we start again?
60 words, one sentence.
That the president is authorized to use all necessary and appropriate force against those nations, organizations, or persons.
He determines planned, authorized, committed, or aided the terrorist attacks that occurred on September 11, 2001, or harbored such organizations
or persons in order to prevent any future acts of international terrorism
against the United States by such nations, organizations, or persons. The administration is authorized to use force against, then against is, for the most part, anybody, any country, any organization, period. Over 30 sometimes it's been used in Yemen, Somalia, different places in the world that, had nothing to do with 9/11.
The Philippines, Georgia, Yemen, Djibouti, Kenya, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Iraq, Somalia, Libya, and Syria.
The reality is that that terrorism has metastasized.
How close does the link to Al-Qaeda and the people who carried out September 11th have to be? So if you have someone who's connected to someone who's connected to someone who's connected to someone who is connected to September 11th, is that enough? Or is it only 3 links? Or can you be an associate of an associate?
It didn't specify an organization. It didn't specify Al-Qaeda. It didn't specify the Taliban. It didn't specify Afghanistan. It didn't specify anything.
Good morning, everybody. The committee meets today to receive testimony on the status of the 2001 authorization for the use of military force, the AUMF.
You guys have essentially rewritten the Constitution here today. You keep using the term associated forces. You use it 13 times in your statement. That is not in the AUMF. And you said at one point, it suits us very well. I assume it does suit you very well because you're reading it to cover everything and anything.
The situation has dramatically changed. So for you to come here and say, well, we don't need to change it, I think, or revise or update it, I think is, disturbing.
I asked the Pentagon, I said, what are the list of associated forces? So Al-Qaeda, yes, the U.S. is at war, that's clear. What about the other group? Who are these groups? Who is the U.S. at war with? And the Pentagon emailed me back and they said, that list is classified and not for public release. should the citizens of the United States know who it is that the United States is targeting for death around the world, who it is that the United States is technically at war with? Should war be a decision that the citizens of a democracy, of a representative democracy, have a say in?
It didn't give us a date where we would reconsider it or an exit date. It was just in perpetuity, forever. Giving any administration that blank check, which this kind of an authorization was just basically unconstitutional. It was basically wrong.
This is a major issue. This involves the security of the country. It also involves the lives of the men and women that we deploy into harm's way. I think it's up to the Congress to look at that proposal and make the revisions that they think are necessary and put limitations into that war authority that they think are important as well. I mean, that's what democracy is all about.
So did you ever second guess your decision?
No, never.